then there's philosophy, and this is a heavy philosophy section. But if you get this down, then you'll really have a good comprehensive understanding of Bhagavad Gita. So while we're getting the verse on the board, I'd like everyone, except the computer Wallace, everyone close your eyes for a moment. Okay, everyone, please close your eyes. Now, if you can name the 5 principal topics of Bhagavad Gita comfortably, raise your hand. Okay, thank you. Now I know what I'm going to talk about this morning. Okay, we're going to text 9, please. Yeah, go scroll to text 9 there, Brandon. Oh. Okay, so in this section of Bhagavatam, who is speaking? Who's the teacher? Kapila. And who is he teaching? His mother. What's her name? Devahuti. All right. So Kapila Dev has been speaking, and now in this section, Devahuti is going to be asking some questions. So let's see. Can we just have ladies' side, men's side? Please read a verse and go on to the next, and be ready for it when it's your time. Okay.
Devahuti said, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, kindly explain the characteristics of the Supreme Person and his energies, for both of these are the causes of this manifest and unmanifest creation.
Isn't that just like a question your mother might have asked you? Okay. Please, go ahead.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, the unmanifested external combination of 3 modes is the cause of the manifest state. It's called Prakriti. It is called
Prakriti.
When the manifest stage exists.
Okay, so just a quick pause there. All of the components of material nature, they are in a box that's called pradhan, and then when they're manifested, it's called prakriti. So it's like Legos. In the box, no castle. In manifest, there's a castle, or what have you. Okay.
The aggregate elements, namely the 5 gross elements, the 5 subtle elements, the 4 internal senses, the 5 senses, forget from knowledge of the 5 outward organs of action, known as the mind.
There are 5 gross elements, namely earth, water, fire, air, and earth. There are also 5 subtle elements: smell, taste, odor, touch.
The senses for acquiring knowledge, and the organs for action, number 10, namely the auditory sense, the sense of taste, the tactile sense, the sense of sight, the sense of smell, and active organs for speaking, working, traveling, generating, and evacuating.
The internal and subtle senses are experienced as having 4 aspects, in the shape of mind, intelligence, ego, and contaminated consciousness. Distinctions between them can be made only by different functions, since they represent different characteristics.
All of these are considered the qualified Brahman, or Brahman. The mixing element, which is known as time, is counted as a 25th element.
The influence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is felt in the time factor, which causes fear of death due to the false ego of the deluded soul who has contacted material nature.
My dear mother, all aware of this Swayam Bhumaman, the time factor, as I have explained, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom the creation began as a result of the agitation of the neutral, unmanifested nature.
By exhibiting his potencies, the Supreme Person of Godhead adjusts all these different elements, keeping himself within the super soul and the Tao as time.
That's it. Very good. Okay, now back to text 9, please. Yeah. Devahutir uvacha. Prakrite purushasyapi. Lakshanam purushottama. Bruhi karanayorasya. Sada satcha yad atmakam. Prakrite Purushasyapi
Prakrite Purushasyapi
Lakshanam Purushottamam
Lakshanam Purushottamam
Bruhi Karanayorasya
Vrihi Karanayorasya
Sada Satcha Yat Atmakam.
Sadasashayakam
Please chant.
Prakrite Purushasyapi
Prakrite Purushasyapi
Akshanam
Akshanam
Purushottama
Purushottama
Ruhi Karanayorasya
Vrihi
Karanayorasya
Sad Asascha Yad Atmakam
Sada Satya Atmakam. Prakrite Purushasyapi Lakshanam Purushottama Bruhi Karanayorasya Sada Satya Atmakam.
Prakrite Purushasyapi
Prakrite Purushasyapi
Lakshanam Purushottamam
Lakshanam Purushottamam
Ruhi Karanayorasya
Bruhi Karanayorasya
Sachadyat Atmakam
Sada Satcha Yat Atmakam. Prakrite Purushasyapi Lakshanam Purushottamam Bruhi Karanayorasya Sada Satcha Atmakam. Prakrite Purushasyapi Lakshanam Purushottamam Bruhi Karanayorasya Sada Satcha Atmakam. Prakrite Purushasyapi Lakshanam Purushottama Bruhi Karanayorasya Sada Satcha Atmakam. Okay, anyone else? Synonyms together, please. Devahuti Uvacha, Devahuti said, Prakrite of his energy, Purushasya of the Supreme Person, Api also, Lakshanam characteristics, Purushottama. Bruhi kindly explain, Karanayo causes, Asya of this creation, Sat Asat manifest and unmanifest, Cha and Yat Atmakam consisting of which. And together, please. Devahuti said, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, kindly explain the characteristics of the Supreme Person, for both are the causes of this manifest and unmanifest creation. Who would like to start the purport? Anu Prabhu.
Purport. Property, or material nature, is connected with both the Supreme Lord and the living entities, just as a woman is connected with her husband as a wife, and with her children as a mother. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that he impregnates Mother Nature with children, living entities, and thereafter all species of living entities become manifest. The relationship of all living entities with material nature has been explained. Now, an understanding of the relationship between material nature and the Supreme Lord is sought by Devahuti. The product of that relationship is stated to be the manifest and unmanifest material world. The unmanifest material world is the subtle Mahat Tattva, and from that Mahat Tattva, the material manifestation has emerged.
Okay, let's pause for a moment. Briefly, isn't that a beautiful example that the relationship of the Supreme Lord and the living entities, they're both connected with the material world. So the Lord is like the husband, and the living entities are like the children. So material nature is in the middle, like the mother. Nice example, huh? Okay. Next, please. Someone else. Sure, please go ahead.
In the Vedic literatures, it is said that by the glance of the Supreme Lord, the total material energy is impregnated, and then everything is born of material nature. It is also confirmed in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita that under his glance of Yakshana, under his direction and by his will, nature is working. It is not that nature works blindly. After understanding the position of the conditioned souls in relation to material nature, Devahuti wanted to know how nature works under the direction of the Lord, and what the relationship is between material nature and the Lord. In other words, she wanted to learn the characteristics of the Supreme Lord in relation to the material nature.
The relationship of the living entities with matter and that of the Supreme Lord with matter are certainly not on the same level. Although the Mayavadis,
Mayavadis, yeah.
or that
Mayavadis.
Mayavadis may interpret it in that way. When it's said that the living entities are free willing, the Mayavadi philosophers ascribe this bewilderment to the Supreme Lord, but that is not acceptable. The Lord is never bewildered. That is the difference between personalists and impersonalists. Devahuti is not unintelligent. She has enough intelligence to understand that the living entities are not on the level of the Supreme Lord. Because the living entities are infinitesimal, they become bewildered or conditioned by material nature. But this does not mean that the Supreme Lord is also conditioned or bewildered. The difference between the conditioned soul and the Lord is that the Lord is the Lord, the master of the material nature, and he is therefore not subject to its control. He is controlled neither by spiritual nature nor by material nature. He is the supreme controller himself, and he cannot be compared to the ordinary living entities, who are controlled by the laws of material nature.
Thank you. And last section. Go ahead.
Two words used in this verse are Sat and Asat. The cosmic manifestation is Asat. It does not exist, but the material energy of the Supreme Lord is Sat, or ever existing. The material nature is ever existing in its subtle form as the energy of the Lord, but it sometimes manifests this non-existent or temporarily existent nature, the cosmos. An analogy may be made with the father and the mother. The mother and the father exist, but sometimes the mother begets children. Similarly, this cosmic manifestation, which comes from the unmanifest material nature of the Supreme Lord, sometimes appears and again disappears. But the material nature is ever existing, and the Lord is the supreme cause for both the subtle and gross manifestations of this material world.
Thank you. So the 5 topics of Bhagavad Gita, they're all kind of interconnected here, and it gives us a great overview of what's happening in this material world. So what's the first topic of Bhagavad Gita? Ishwara, right. Ishwara means God, supreme controller. Second topic? Jiva, right, the living beings, the souls. And the third topic? Prakriti, material nature, which we're reading about here. And the fourth topic? Time, okay, Kala. And fifth? Karma, right. Okay, so let's just break this down a little bit. Ishwar, and by the way, by the end of class, everyone has to know these, so you won't get breakfast. Ishwara, God is basically what defines a theist or atheist, believing in the existence of God. However, that idea of belief is usually predicated on like some kind of sentimental faith. And the beautiful part about the Vedas is it's predicated on knowledge. You actually understand. as I was discussing last week about the infinite regression, remember that phrase? So the option to believing in God is to believe in just an infinite regression. Somehow the universe began, and where did it begin from? Well, it began from something else. Well, where did that begin from? It began from something else. That's infinite regression. So it is essentially no answer at all. So the theist says, well, everything begins with God. At least theoretically, we're starting from that point. So which makes more sense? And infinite regression essentially means, I don't know. So the theist says, all right, at least theoretically, I'm going to start with Ishvara, that God exists and God is the creator of everything. The second topic is the jivas, individual souls. So there's great explanation of this in chapter 2 of the Gita, the relationship between jiva and Ishvara. Natvevaham jatanasam natvam nemi janadipa. Krishna says that there was never a time when I did not exist, he's saying, as Ishvara, nor you, nor everyone else around us here. We all are eternal. So the Ishvara is eternal and the jiva is eternal. There wasn't a time, in other words, when God said, okay, I'll create you. We have always existed. And why do we exist? What is our purpose? To serve. Okay, now let's expand that a little bit. I mean, serve could be
Love and be loved.
yeah, okay. Even from Ishwar's point of view, what's the point of having all these jivas around? To bring him happiness. What's that? No, to bring him pleasure. That's what I'm trying to. Yeah.
To bring him back home to Godhead.
Well, yes. However, his first purpose before they left Godhead was to make these jivas to give them some happiness. Just like parents have children, there's no bigger pain in the neck than having children. See, I'm about to refer to another part of the anatomy. Yeah, children are sources of great joy and great distress, and so they're great responsibility, which is nice because it brings out something in you of that's maturing and broadening. But it's also a great responsibility because they're like 24/7, 365 for at least 18 years if you're responsible. You're paying the bills. And this is, that calls into question, why would God bother having children? However, this relationship is a little different, although it's compared to the parental. God is the father, the jivas is the child. In this case, God is creating this child without any labor or delivery or hospital fees or teenage years or dirty diapers. He's creating the living entities to bring him joy. That's all. And that, because that's what God does. The philosophy of Krishna consciousness is just so simple and so amazing at the same time. My understanding of God before Krishna consciousness was he's like the universal scorekeeper, right? Heaven, hell, hell, heaven, heaven. What time do I get off? I mean, what a boring job. What a unwelcome job that would be, right? This beautiful picture of Krishna we get from the Vedas says he's always enjoying. And he's always coming up with new ways to enjoy. If you were God, wouldn't you do something like that? So the jiva is just meant by nature to bring him pleasure in a unique way. However, because it's not like a master-slave relationship, Krishna gives the freedom to the jivas to please him or to try to please themselves. And in the material world, everybody is trying to do the Krishna thing. I'm the center, and let me find out how I can enjoy. We're trying our best to enjoy, and how's that working out? I was thinking about how if we could fast forward our lives, how if there's a video that you're mildly interested in, you just kind of, let me put this on triple speed and see what happens at the end. How would they all end? More or less the same way, right? some memorial service. When I attended my father's memorial service some years ago, there was a pretty good crowd, about 250 people, and I was surprised. So I said to one of his friends, I wasn't expecting so many people. And he said, yeah, they all want to make sure that it's true. What's that? He did, and then I said it in my eulogy because it was a good joke. So yeah, they all end in the same way. And so just a matter of time before the adventure of trying to be the center and the enjoyer comes to a predictable end. It didn't work. I tried and tried and tried to enjoy, and at the end, I was defeated. So the jiva has this option of living in this defeating consciousness or reviving the service consciousness that was the purpose of the creation or being created in the first place. Our thesis in Krishna consciousness is you're going to be a lot happier trying to please God than trying to enjoy like God. That's the proposal. Try it out, see what you think, then you decide. It's a whole different level of enjoyment. This is our point. I know I've experienced that, and so many of us. So the jiva and Ishwar have this service and served relationship. That's the constitutional creation. That's why we're made. So then there is prakriti, the in-between. If we want to enjoy, then we have to have something to enjoy. That's the reason for the inferior energy. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains in a more general detail the components of the material energy. It was just explained in this chapter. The earth, water, air, fire, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. These are the 8 general components of matter. But then he says, aparayamitas tvanyam prakriti vidi me param. Aside from these material inferior energies, there's this prakriti param, the superior energy, which consists of the jivas, of the living beings, who are struggling hard with the material energy. So the whole purpose of prakriti existing is what? Why is it there?
So the living existence can try to enjoy.
Exactly. Because we wanted to enjoy separately from Ishwar, then here's prakriti, have a good time. It's material elements. They're sometimes in the box, unmanifested, and sometimes out of the box, manifested. And when they're manifested, then we can play with them all day. And then at the end of the creation, they go back into the box, and we go back into our box, and we rest for a while, and then we come out and do it again. This is explained in the 8th chapter of the Gita. So the point is that prakriti doesn't need to exist. Once a gentleman asked Srila Prabhupada, if everybody became Krishna conscious and everybody renounced this world, how would the human race survive? And Prabhupada said, why do you want this nonsense human race to survive? On another occasion, he said, do you really think that's going to happen? Anyway, the point is, prakriti exists because of our desires. Again, a beautiful definition of Ishwar. He's not this vindictive, cruel guy. He is just giving us what we want. You want to be with me? Here's how to do it. If you don't want to be with me, here's prakriti, and you can enjoy it. And when you get tired of that, let me know, and I'm always happy to have you back. Okay. So let me finish my spiel, and then I'll be plenty of time for questions. Okay. I want to cover these 5 that everyone's indelibly going to remember from today for the rest of their lives, right? Okay. We're up to prakriti. The next one, at least on my list, is karma. The karma means the interaction of the jiva with prakriti. When the jiva gets entangled in prakriti, then there's this cause and effect that goes on. You do something good, you get a good material result. For example, you go to school, you work hard, you get good grades, then you get a good job, then you get a good salary. That's like good karma manifested. Or if you space out and you flunk out and you drop out and you get wiped out, then, after a while, you're on the street and not knowing what to do. So we see karma instantly in play in our lives. You eat a healthy diet, you get fit. You eat a lousy diet, you get unfit. Karma is happening all the time, and it's happening not only in the immediate sense, but in the untraceable past. Do you ever wonder why somebody is just like born with a silver spoon in their mouth? Right from day one, they've got all the money they need, they've got beautiful, healthy bodies, they have great lineage, they have all facilities, they go to the best schools, and then somebody else is born with physical impediments and poverty and absent parents and no support. Why is God doing this? This Ishwara, who supposedly loves everybody, puts somebody good in somebody bad position. I asked my Sunday school teacher this question when I was a kid, and she said, "It's the mystery of God. It's the mystery of God. You cannot understand it." So basically, don't even ask questions, kid. Just believe. So the answer to this question is karma. That whatever we have now is an exact result of what we've done in the past. Whatever we do now will determine our situation in the future. That's, again, that free will that we can exercise. And the laws of karma are like the laws of physics. There's an equal and opposite reaction for every action. So karma is the kind of interaction of the jiva and prakriti. Finally, the fifth element is what? The fifth topic? Time. So that was also mentioned in this breakdown that we read. Time is Krishna's presence in this material mixture between the jiva and prakriti and karma. Why is he there as time? Anybody watch a football game? Ever seen a soccer match or a basketball? It's always on the clock, right? It's always on the clock. Baseball isn't like that. That's why it's so boring. And cricket also, no time. But boy, with that time factor, then you got to plan, you got to strategize, you got to, you're under pressure. This is Krishna's presence in the football game. And in the game of our life, it's also Krishna's presence. Every jiva meets Ishwara, even if they're into prakriti and wrapped up in their karma. They still meet Ishwara, but they meet Ishwara in this form of time. When Robert Oppenheimer detonated the first nuclear blast, he quoted this verse from Bhagavad Gita: "Time I am, destroyer of the worlds." When Arjuna, the student, asks Krishna, he sees this amazing manifestation of Krishna. He says, "Who are you?" And Krishna says, "I am time." That's what you can see in this world. Now there might be, let's say there's a football player and he says, "I don't believe in observing the clock." And the referee blows the whistle and the game's over, but that player picks up the ball and runs and scores a touchdown. Is that touchdown going to count? We might say, "I don't want to deal with time. I don't worry about time." And yet time expires. As an old man, I just want to tell you, this is the difference between me and you. In that, except me and Gopal. Yeah, the over the hill gang. But time changes. And maybe Advaita Prabhu, he's right on the cusp. Your perception of time changes as you age. When you're young, it's like infinite. I don't worry about it, except occasionally for an assignment or something like that. Otherwise, I got all the time in the world. And when you're over the hill, then time starts kind of shrinking, and it goes very fast. It goes very fast because there isn't much of it left, So the joy of youth is infinite time, the illusion of infinite time. And they say, just summarizing life in this world, when you're young, you've got time and energy, but no money. And when you're middle-aged, you've got money and you've got energy, but you've got no time. And when you're old, you got money and you got time, but you have no energy. So every step of the way, we're frustrated in this world. So the point is that time will eventually win. You know, everybody will succumb to time. So if we don't choose to meet Ishvara, using our free will in that way, then we'll meet Ishvara in this other way, this kind of more unwelcomed way. So that's our basic choice, to deal with our relationship with Ishvara in joy, in service, in a loving connection, or to try to enjoy the Prakriti, get wrapped up in karma, and meet him in time. That's the topic. These are the topics of Bhagavad Gita. So let's say it one more time. First topic is, second topic is, third topic is, fourth topic is, fifth topic is. Now you are enlightened. Congratulations. All right, so this chapter, these verses have a very detailed breakdown of Prakriti. We can go through that if you want, but any questions on this much? Okay, Narada, and then Bobby, and then Alex. Okay. And then
if a 4-year-old wants ice cream for dinner, the parents, knowing that it's not gonna be helpful for them, say no. So how come when we want something that's not good for us, Krishna doesn't say no?
When the 4-year-old is 18. What does he have for dinner? Yeah. So this is a common theological challenge, and a good point. Why would God set up this system of Prakriti and karma and time? Why, if he really loves us, why didn't he just give us? Why does he put us in a difficult position? And in the Gita, Krishna says that he takes no responsibility for our choices. So we have the free will of an 18-year-old. The 4-year-old is under the protection of the parents, and the responsible parents will make sure they don't hurt themselves. But the free will is baked in. Just like anyway, it's wonderful seeing devotees come from Krishna house as opposed to having them come from conception. Okay? Because you have all those years to deal with them, and then they say, I'm not interested. Whereas the wonderful, fortunate souls who have suffered enough and have hit their head on the brick wall of Prakriti long enough, come to Krishna and say, please teach me about Krishna. And I say, why didn't my kids ever say that to me? Okay. Is that all right?
I have a question on this point.
Please, use the mic. Yeah. Follow up.
So this question is kind of like a little bit of a, I don't know, kind of an infinite regression maybe question, but sometimes someone will ask, well, if he's God, why couldn't he just make us God? Or why couldn't he just make the material world a place of infinite bliss? If he loves us so much, why did he have to make the material world a place of misery? So,
if he made it a place of infinite bliss, we'd get bored with it. We would just say there must be something else. In other words, we have to come to the point of voluntarily wanting to be connected to Ishwar. Otherwise, there's no love. Krishna could just, he could make us like AI, artificial, I have to think of a good noun starting with I that's appropriate. Anyway, you can make us like robots, basically. Yes, I will serve God. I am programmed to serve God. But where is the love in that? And if you just set everything up like Barbie Land or something, where everything's just so joyful, then why would we ever pay him any attention? We'll just enjoy this world. So he's fulfilling our desire to be independent in a way that helps us come to our higher interest. If it was too nice, we would never have any incentive to look for something better. What do you think?
Yeah, I get that. I was thinking, I guess there's, because people would, sometimes they would be like, why can't Krishna just make me Krishna? Or something like that. Like, why can't he, if he's so detached, why can't he just have me replace God? But I'm assuming Krishna kind of can't do that because constitutionally he's God, right? But to say he can't do something is also maybe
Okay. That's yet another novel theory from Dristadumna. That's a good point. Suppose, so let's just say, for example, the president of university. Do we have a president these days? It's still okay. Well, let's say I don't want to talk any higher. Let's say the mayor of Gainesville. Suppose he walks in and he raises his hand and he says, "Shakuntala, you are now the mayor of Gainesville." And you would say, well, I haven't been elected. I don't know how to do it. But he doesn't have that authority, or he doesn't have that ability to just empower you like that. So what you're proposing is something like that, that God, who's infinite, can turn the infinitesimal into God. Well, he can if the devotion, if the love is so high that he just trusts, okay, he empowers a living being to do miraculous things like Jesus, a Shaktivesh avatar. But even such empowered living beings are never the supreme. Jesus never said, I'm the Father. There's the Father and there's me. And I'm representing the Father, but we're different. So in the same way, it's constitutionally impossible because we're not made, we're not the origin of everything as much as we might like to think. Okay, Bobby and then Alex and then Sundari Leela. Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, you said like probably some people who are born with a silver spoon have like, I guess, decent lives, at least based on some of my observations, that's kind of like the opposite to me where, I guess, for example, like children actors or whatever, people with parents of actors, rich people, or, they just, don't necessarily have the, I guess, best lives. I just wanted to for you to expand on that.
Yeah, it's a very solid observation. Everyone loves to read about the rich and famous getting their comeuppance, right? This one's getting, they're so rich and famous, but they have to get therapy for depression or whatever. It just seems like incongruous, but that is a fact. Studies have been done on lottery winners, seemingly a big pile of good karma, but they often end up getting in disputes with their family and blowing the money and just wishing it had never happened practically. So yes, good karma is compared to dry poop. Okay? The two Arabs are walking in the desert, and there's camel droppings on the way. And so one says to the other, the dry ones are much better to step on than the wet ones, because they don't stick to your foot. And the other one says, dry stool or wet stool, it's all stool. Right? So this is the analogy of this world. Even though something might look nice, it's still got the same time-bound issues. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Alex.
Well, I wrote to myself while you were talking.
Why did you do that? Aren't you listening?
Prakriti is the probabilistic field. Krishna is the universal observer sustaining coherence. And the jiva is a localized observer experiencing outcomes within the field. So Prakriti is the reality that we perceive at atomic nature, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so when I was reading in Canto 11 in Uddhava Gita, Krishna told Uddhava, he said that everything that we perceive from our senses is an illusion. So my question to you is, if this is all an illusion or a simulation designed for us to enjoy for ourselves, but to ultimately get back to a primordial goal, then it's like, what's the point of even caring about certain things?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if death is a doorway to get out, then it's like, why, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's certain things in life that we trip about. Why is it even, if it's temporary, then why do we trip about it?
Why does it, why matter? Because we still have to deal with the realities. The reality is this world is real, but it's temporary. It's real. It's not an illusion. The illusion is thinking that we can enjoy it. The illusion is thinking it's going to last forever. So we have an illusory view of a real thing. The Prakriti is a real existence, but the illusion is our relationship with it.
And so at some point, like, because I'm also reflecting on chapter 13 from Bhagavad Gita, nature and joy and consciousness. That was a chapter that I dwelled in a lot in my own time. And I always like ask myself, like, well, all of this is supposed to just end. You know what I mean? So like the whole point is to remove yourself from the illusion, but still stay here to where you're waiting for it to end.
Right. The Bhagavad Gita is all about Arjuna the warrior not wanting to fight. Right? And so he's saying, well, maybe I'll just be more spiritual and walk away from the battle. And then the rest of the Gita is Krishna saying, no, well, you got to go do your duty. But the purpose of doing your duty will change. You were thinking before, I just have this battle to win a kingdom, but your actual purpose is to please me. This is what I want you to do, and therefore if you do it in that consciousness, you'll be happy. Whether you win or lose doesn't matter. So in that aspect, it's what you're saying is correct. But he's not excused from the effort. Yeah. Okay. Sundari Leela and Advaita Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. I have one comment and one question.
Okay.
Comment was based on Narmani Prabhu and Joshituna Prabhu's question, which is that, well, we want to be God because we think that being God is better, but God wants to be a devotee. So it's actually, we make so much assumptions about what God means and we want to be, but what makes you think you're not God? We're qualitatively the same in quality, but not in quantity. So why are we dissatisfied is actually the better question. Like, why do we feel dissatisfied that we're not God? So what does God mean for us? My question is regarding the first part of the discourse that you brought up regarding Vedic knowledge. The Vedic understanding of the ultimate destination is based on jnana, is based on knowledge instead of blind faith. But we also you also said about theism and atheism. So from what I'm understanding, theism in this case suggests an assumption that there is a God without really understanding whether God who he is, but it begins there. So my question is, well, is it possible that an atheist, without an understanding, by going through the Vedic process, are able to come to actual understanding of divinity? And what does that process actually look like? Because in Bhakti, we discuss the process of Shraddha, Sadhusanga, and Artha Nivritti. Vajna Kriya, and then another Nivritti. So there's a process that we discuss. How does that actually correlate to this process from Gyan to Bhakti? Or is it not exactly the same?
Right. No, in other words, your question is, even if we are not committed theists, can we understand God through knowledge eventually? Is that a fair way of summarizing what you just said?
Not yes, but not quite. It's that because we do at some point come to have faith. So the faith develops, but I'm not sure how it looks like in between when you're an atheist and through a process of practice, you develop faith.
Right. Okay, so faith, this is such an important distinction in spiritual practice, that faith is not something you start with, it's something you develop. Just like in India, they have arranged marriages for millennia, and the husband and wife sometimes just meet each other on their wedding day. Can you imagine that? But those marriages start off with theory, but they end up developing affection and love in the course of the relationship. So in the same way, if we approach God with a genuine process, like bhakti, then we don't have to start off with love. We are fine just doing it theoretically until that love develops. And it does develop. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhuka Bhanoi. Loving God is dormant in every heart. And by the process of hearing and chanting, that dormant love awakens. That's why the Hare Krishna experience is just so powerful, because I think for most of us, we got a lot more out of it than we were expecting. Right? Like I had a little faith in God, and so I started chanting, and then, whoa. And then when I heard the philosophy and understood, wow, I'm really in Maya. It's combination. So Bhakti Vedanta. Bhakti is love, Vedanta is knowledge. These two are corollary experiences of spiritual life. Love without knowledge is just sentiment, which is so much of whatever survives of religion in this part of the world. Just sentiment. Okay, I believe because my parents believe and I have to believe, or whatever, motivation. But knowledge devoid of love is also dry. So Bhakti and Vedanta go together, and one may start more heavily on the Bhakti side or the Vedanta side, doesn't really matter. As they progress, they become a unified experience. I hope that helps. Okay. Last word goes to Advaita Acharya Prabhu. And then.
Thank you very much. Such a nice discussion. But on the point of our purpose, you mentioned that Krishna has created us for his own pleasure. I always kind of struggle with that. And I was relieved to hear that it's actually also for our own pleasure. It's an invitation to join him in that world of loving exchanges, pure loving exchanges. And one scholar said that we don't need, Krishna does not need our service. We are the ones who need service for him, in a sense that we're starving for love. Love that he has in abundance. He does not create out of lacking. He creates out of abundance.
Thank you.
Out of kindness.
For our benefit. Thank you, yes.
And on the point of what Sundari said, the first part of the comment is that in the same way Prabhupada made a remark. What is this idea of becoming God? We want to become greater than God. And that is the nature of God. Being God is not really a problem.
Why stop there? Yes.
Yeah. Why stop there? And Bhakti fully controls God. So this is what our goal is. We're not really after Krishna. We're after Bhakti.
Right. The Ishwar controls the jivas, but the jivas who love Ishwar control Ishwar. Yeah. So we don't want to just stop with enjoying. Beautiful. Okay. Are you ready for Sad? All set? Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Bhagavatam ki jai. Shavira Avijaja Vitadriya Tarika Jive Pile Visaya Sagare Ramada Divayati Lokamoisa Durmati Bhakti Deta Katina Samsare Krishna Bala Joya Moy Tori Pare Jiva Joy Swapasagana Deva Sena Ritapara Krishna Gunagal Premedako Chaitanya Janimai Janita Shila Prabhupada Ki Jai Gora Premanande Hari Hari Bo Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram